Alright, so now that I have showed you how to organize the photos, send the photos to the client, a workflow in Capture One and Lightroom, now it's time to get into Photoshop and retouch these images so we can finish them up to send the final images to the client. So let's head to Photoshop. Alright, so once you're in Photoshop, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go over here to Windows, and you're going to want to select this Actions tab. So right here it pulls up the Actions tab. What we're going to do is click these three lines, and we're going to load in the actions that you downloaded with this course. So we're going to hit Load Actions, and I have it on my desktop. Yours may be in your Downloads folder, but just find this action file and click it and then hit Open. So as you can see, the AC retouch actions have been loaded. So now we're ready to get started with our retouching. So the first thing we want to do is select the background layer and hit Command or Control J to duplicate this background layer. So now we got a new layer here. We're going to click this drop down to see the actions. So we got the skin retouch action, the dodge and burn, and the eyes and teeth whitening. So the first thing, we're going to zoom in a little bit to this image. So I do a lot of my blemish removals with the spot healing tool. So that is this little bandage looking tool here. And yours may be on healing brush or patch tool. But if you just click this icon and hold down, you can select additional options. So I use the spot healing brush tool. That's just my preference. If you're more familiar or more comfortable using something else, you can definitely use those. So I just select my spot healing tool. You can do the open and close brackets over here, like under the delete button to change your brush size. So for that, I try to get the brush size as close to the size of whatever I'm trying to remove. So we'll do something like that to remove that, and then the same thing on this side. Zoom in a little bit more, press J is an easy shortcut, Z is a shortcut to get to the zoom tool. So you can press J to get back to the spot healing tool to just go through and remove any bumps, blemishes, or pimples, or anything like that. Any stains, anything like that you want to try to remove, you can use this tool to try to achieve that. That's typically what I do, and it typically works pretty well for me. You can use other tools though, but this tool just works for me, so this is the tool that I'm most familiar with. Alright, so there we go. So we got something like that, and then we'll just see kind of what we actually did. So you can turn this layer off, see the before and after. Before and after. Alright, so we're at a good spot. Let's see, we're gonna clean up this backdrop a little bit too. So I'll do that, select that, kind of remove it. That's about we got a little stain right here. Select that, remove it. I typically don't do a lot of hair stuff, but if you want to, you can definitely take more time than I am here and select hair and remove those as well. So like I said, I typically don't worry about the hair unless it's just like really bad, then I will do it. But other than that, the little strands or the little flyaways, I typically don't worry about unless it's just really bad or the client is specific and want those removed. But most people don't, so I typically don't worry about it because it can be tedious and take a lot of time. So as you can see, this can be tedious and take a lot of time, so you can do more to the hair if you want to, but just for the sake of this, I am not. But as you can see, this is how I would typically do it though. Just draw over it with the spot healing tool, and it does a pretty good job at removing hair and any other little objects that may be in your image that you don't want. So this is where we're at now. So from here, what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. We're gonna click on the skin retouch action. We're gonna hit play. So it's gonna run this action, and now you can see it has ran the actions and it got this skin retouch layer here. So you wanna make sure you're on this layer mask layer, and then you wanna press B to get to your brush tool, and you wanna make sure that your brush is set to a white color. So I typically leave my flow around 50. You can experiment with different flows. So I typically do mine at 50, and y'all will kind of see the results that I get. So from this point, you're just gonna kind of brush over the skin portions that you want to soften. And you can adjust your brush size accordingly. So we'll just start here and we'll just start painting over these areas here. So make sure you don't go over any areas of detail like the eyebrows, eyelashes, anything like that. Like anything that's like high detail. The main thing you want to hit with this brush is just the skin areas that you want to soften or smoothen. So stay away from the lips. You can go across top, but don't actually like do the lips though. So we'll do that. So as you can see, like this nose area here, like you want this definition of this curve to be there. So what I would do is select the black brush now, and since I already had it selected over here, I just press X to go back and forth between white and black. Make sure you're on your brush tool. I'm gonna drop the size down a little bit, and I'm just going to brush over this area of the nostril because I want that detail. I don't want that to just look flat. So as you can see, I'm just pretty much going over the skin at this point. And don't worry too much about what it looks like right now. If you don't like it, I'm gonna show you how to go in and adjust it to your liking after you brush the areas of the skin that you want to soften though. So we'll do like this, something like this here. And I'm not gonna do the hands just for the sake of time, but you definitely can do the hands, or like I said, whatever parts of the skin that you want to soften. All right, so now that we did that, what you want to do is you'll click this drop down, and then you have this skin layer and you have this texture layer. So the skin layer, this determines how soft or smooth the skin is. So you just double click on this Gaussian blur right here. So once you double click on this, you can adjust this radius, and you can see that the lower it is, the less smooth or less soft it is, and the higher, the more soft or more smooth it is. And of course you don't want to go too high. So you can adjust this number to your liking. But even if you have it too soft or too smooth, I'm gonna show you how you can still tone it back after the fact. So we'll go with something like this. We'll leave it at something like this for now. So we'll click OK. And then this texture layer is where you determines how much texture that you see in the image. So you would just double click on this high pass. Then from here you can just adjust the radius, and as you can see, the more the radius, the more details you see in the skin. So if we do less radius, you see it's super soft, super smooth. More, you kind of get more of those details in the skin. So for me, I'm gonna go somewhere around like, let's say 2.4. I'll go with something like that. That's cool with me. And then from there, if I want to tone this back some, I just drop this overall layer or group opacity. So as you can see, we can drop it down to nothing, or you can just gradually bring it up. So I typically like stuff to look as natural as possible, so I don't like to overdo stuff. So I'm gonna drop it down to about, for this photo, I'll do around 84. So I typically stay within like that 50 to 75-ish range or so. But for this, I think that looks good. Then you can see like before, after. You can zoom in to get you a better look at it as well. So you got like a before and an after. Like, I think this looks really good, and I'm pretty pleased with these results. But you can go in and do whatever changes you want to get the results that you are trying to achieve. Okay, so after you have done the skin smoothing and you got it to a point that you like, what you want to do now is go to this dodge and burn action, click on it, press play. It's going to run this action. So from here, what you want to do is click this drop down. You want to go to dodge, and from there you want to go to the underlying layer and drag this black portion until you select the highlight areas, or to the highlight areas are selected. So you can see I got this highlight area selected, this here, the nose, this area is highlight as well. So I got these areas selected within this selection. So from here you're going to press Option or Alt on Windows computer and click this little triangle to separate it, and then you're going to feather this up to the white triangle. So you'll do something like that, press OK. Then from there you're going to click the burn, double click on that layer, and now you're going to go to adjust the underlying for this white triangle. You're going to pull it down until you see like these dark areas that are selected. So these are the areas that you're going to burn, and we'll just select a little bit more. So you're going to press Alt or Option again to separate the triangles. Then you would drag it up to kind of feather it. From there you're going to click OK. Alright, so after you do that, you're going to click on this layer or this group, and then you're going to group this group. So you're going to name this, I typically do D and B. You can leave it at group 1 if you want to. It's just a personal preference. So from there, click that, and then you want to add a layer mask to this option. You want to add a layer mask to this layer, and then press Command I to invert this layer mask. And once again, we're going to zoom out a little bit. We're going to press B to get our brush tool, and we're going to brush over like this part of the face that you want to dodge and burn. So you can do this at whatever parts of the body. This is like a head shot, so I can only do the head. But if you had like more skin showing, legs and arms and stuff like that, then you could definitely dodge and burn those as well. But for this photo, I'm only doing the face. So I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Alright, so now that we have dodged and burned a little bit of that, let's see what the before and after. So you got the before and the after. So if you want to, what we can do is go down here, and then we'll open up this layer, and then we'll click on the dodge layer, and we can adjust this curve right here, and it will kind of brighten the brighter parts of the image. It's going to be super subtle, so it's not going to be like too drastic, but as you can see, if we move it up, it is making it a little brighter. So we'll do something like that right there, just to brighten those bright areas up a little bit more. And go back there. And see the before and the after, before and the after. So if you want this to be more dodged and burned, what you can do is select this group right here, and then you can change this opacity from 50, and you can bring it up to 100 if you want. And now you can select this top layer or this top group, and you can drag this opacity down to get it kind of to where you want it at. So you got before, after, after. So I typically do, like I said, I typically do everything super subtle. I don't do anything too harsh or too hard. So I'm gonna leave this at like around 75. I'm pretty cool with that. I like those results. Got the before and the after. And then the last thing I would do is the eyes and teeth whitening, which her eyes are pretty white already in this photo. But what I would do is I would just run this action, open this, and then come down to this photo filter, select this black layer mask here, press B, make sure you got a soft brush, adjust it accordingly, and then you can just brush over the eyes and it'll brighten those. And you can kind of also hit the lips a little bit as well to kind of give those a little bit more pop if you would like. You don't have to, that's just like a personal preference type thing. So from there, I will go back to this layer, or this group layer, I guess you can say, and I would just drag this opacity down. I typically drop this to about 50%, so you can see we do 0 and then about 50-some%. So you got before, after, before, and after. So that is pretty much how I would retouch this image. Like I said, you can take as much time as you want doing the retouching process. I just didn't want this video to be like super long. So I think that looks good though. I think this looks like a really good image. We're gonna turn everything off to kind of see. We started here. We cleaned up everything here. Skin smooth, dodge and burn, and then the eye whitening. So I think that looks pretty good. I think that looks pretty good. So I don't have any images with teeth showing, so I just selected this random image. So it's not edited, as you can see. It's super flat, it's not saturated or anything like that. But I'm gonna just show y'all how the teeth whitening action will work for the teeth. So we're just gonna copy this layer. All right, so we're gonna click on the eye and teeth whitening. We're gonna run this action, and then we're gonna open the folder, come down to the photo layer, and then we would just press B, make sure the brush is white, and whiten the teeth. As you can see, I did get some of the lips as well, so I'm gonna just press X to select my black brush, and then I'm gonna just brush back over the lips to get those back how they were. So yeah, something like that right there. And then as you can see, before, after, before, after. But like always, what I would do is I would drop the opacity down to about in between 50 and 75, just depending on the image. So something like that, I think looks really good. And also, if you want to, just for the sake of this tutorial, I'll do the eyes as well. Brighten the eyes a little. But I just want to show y'all what it looks like actually doing teeth, because none of the images that I selected showed teeth. So that's the only reason I'm doing this particular image. This image hasn't been edited or anything. So we got that. So before, after, and before, and after. So that is how you would do the teeth whitening portion. Alright, so here we go. We have another image. So the first thing we're going to do, Command J to duplicate this background layer. We'll zoom in a little bit. So we'll zoom in a little bit on it. Press J. And from here, I'm just going to remove any little bumps, pimples, anything like that I feel like I want to remove. So we'll just go through and do that real quick. So as you can see, the image is a little blurry, or I wouldn't say blurry, but it's not as sharp as like a studio image. And that's partly because I was shooting like a 70 to 200 and I was just kind of tripping. So I'm not sure what this is right here, but I'm gonna just go ahead and remove it. So yeah, we'll just do something like this. If there were any stains or anything that you want to get out, this tool should work pretty well to remove a stain. And even like if you wanted to remove like a tattoo or something, like it should do a pretty decent job at that as well. But I'm not gonna go all the way through and do that. Alright, cool. So something like this is cool. I'm not gonna take too long doing this. but you can kind of do, you know, whatever you want. So we'll press Z to get to the zoom tool. We'll just zoom out a little bit. Then we can see like before, after, before, then after. So once again, we're gonna go up to our skin retouch action, click that, press play. It's gonna run that action. We're gonna select the layer mask, press B, and then we are going to just brush over the skin again. Make sure we are not getting detailed areas like eyebrows, hair, eyelashes, anything like that. So as you can see, she has tattoos, so we are not gonna brush over those tattoos. We're gonna brush around those tattoos because we don't want to affect those, or we don't want those to be blurry. That's not gonna look realistic. Dang, so I'm doing all this brushing and I'm on a black brush. I was wondering why it didn't look different. All right, so my bad. So yeah, got that white brush selected now. So now we're gonna brush over the skin. And for the sake of the tutorial, like I said, I'm not doing it too perfect because I don't want to take too long. I don't want the tutorial to be too long. So as you can see, it's making her skin like super soft or smooth. So I'm gonna go in and definitely make some adjustments to this once I finish this. Oh, I mistakenly brushed over this tattoo, so let's go kind of undo that. There we go. Alright, so there we go. I just did a quick job of brushing over the skin a little bit. Like I said, I'm not doing it too perfect. But as you can see, we got like the skin smooth, and I don't really want it to be looking like this. So I'm gonna go in and definitely make some adjustments. So what we're gonna do, click this drop down. We're gonna go to the skin layer to adjust this. Double click on this Gaussian blur here. And now we can make fine adjustments to get it the way we want it to look. So since this image wasn't like already super sharp to begin with, I'm not gonna add too much to it, versus the studio image was like really sharp. So it did require a little bit more, but this image was already naturally just not as sharp. It was a pretty soft image to start with. So I'm gonna just keep this around, let's say this 1.3 mark. And then for the high pass, we'll click, I clicked on the wrong thing, so we'll just hit OK. Oh, my scratch disk is full, so hold on. So it's pretty much saying that my hard drive is full because it has been keeping or temporarily saving like all these changes and edits that I have been making. So if you do encounter this problem, what you can do is go up here to Photoshop, Preferences. We're gonna go to General. You got Scratch Disk here, and I'm gonna change my scratch disk from my Macintosh HD to this Aaron Christopher hard drive that I have. And then I'm gonna leave it at Macintosh HD just for whenever I don't have this particular hard drive hooked up. So I'll hit OK, and then now I should be able to complete this action. So there we go. And from there, you can raise this up to get a little more sharpness in your image, but I'm gonna leave it I'm gonna do like a 0.1. This image wasn't already sharp to begin with, so it can't get too much detail out of it. So from there, what I would do is click this. I'm gonna go back to my Gaussian blur and I'm gonna raise that a little bit. Click that, there, and I'm gonna just drop the opacity a little bit. Go to about 80. Fit to screen. So something like that right there. So we got before and the after. I'm gonna just, since this image wasn't that sharp to start with, I'm gonna just leave it at about 90. So we'll leave this at about 90, something like that right there. I like that. Then what we'll do is I'll go to this dodge and burn next. Gonna press play to run this action, and then from here we're going to open this group, double click on the dodge layer, drag this, select those highlight areas, and then we are going to press Option or Alt on a PC to separate it, and then just kind of feather it. Kind of feather that. Same thing with the burn. Make sure those shadow areas are selected. Option or Alt. We'll feather that. Press OK. Click that. Then we'll do there. Zoom out to see. Then you can kind of see like the before image and then the after image. So what we're gonna do is press Command or Control G to group that together, rename it DMB, create the layer mask, and then Control or Command I to invert it. Then we're going to press B to get back to the brush tool, and then we are going to brush over the areas that we want to dodge and burn. Alright, so we got something like that. Then we can see a before and an after. Before and after. And then what I would do, select this group and drop the opacity of that down some. So let's see what about 70 look like. See a before and an after. Before and an after. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna adjust these highlights just a little bit. Alright, there we go. Something like that. Before, after, before, and after. So that is pretty much what I would do on this image. As you can see, there are no eyes or teeth visible, so I would not run this eye and teeth whitening. You can, if you want to, run it across the lips maybe, So I will click this, we'll hit play to run that. There, photo filter, make sure we got a white brush selected, and you can hit that to kind of make the lips pop a little bit. But as always, we're gonna drop the opacity to this layer. Let's say about somewhere around 50 should be cool. Just a little subtle pop to the lips. So yeah, something like that. So that's kind of where we would get with it. So you would start off here, clean up a little bit with that. Then we will run a skin smooth, dodge it and burn it a little bit, and then lip pop. So that'll be like the final image that I will get here. I maybe would remove this wrinkle, but I just didn't for this video. I typically don't remove some wrinkles though, because it just looks unnatural to go from one area to another with no creases in it if there's a natural crease. Like you can't fold your arms and there not be a crease. So like, I just think it looks unnatural. But you can remove this if you want to. I just didn't for this video. So that's pretty much how I would do that. And I would pretty much go through and do that for all the images from the shoot. So I'm not gonna go through and do like all these images, but that is pretty much how I would do my retouching workflow. So from here, let's say I have edited all of my images now. What I would do is I would go up here to File, come down to Automate, come down to Script, and then Image Processor. So from here, it's gonna use all of the open images. So all the images that I have open up in here is gonna use, we're gonna do quality 12, and we are not gonna resize it to fit. Save as JPEG, convert to sRGB. That's what we wanna do. And then you can change this location that it's gonna save them at. But for this, I'm gonna just leave it to where it's at. And we're gonna click run. So it's gonna go through and save all your images. And now all of those images that you just edited would be in your retouch folder, and then they will be in a JPEG folder. So these will be your final images. So for this, I used the images that I got from the Capture One export. So that's why they would be in this folder, in the retouch, and then they would be here. If I would have did it from the Lightroom exported images, they would be in this folder on my desktop, which was the desktop, and we did this retouch folder. So it would be here, and it would be in the JPEG folder. So that's where that would be. At this point would also be when I move my retouch and proof folder to this actual folder that we created. So we got this Lightroom folder that we created earlier, right? And we click this and we have the raw folder. And from here is where I would drag this proofs and retouch into this folder. So now if I ever need to get back to these images at a later date, I know it was shot in 2022. I know it was shot in September. So I will click that, and now I got all my shoots for September. Once it gets November, I will create a November folder here and have those images or all the shoots from November in that folder. So from here, I will go here, but I have already dragged them over here, so I'm not gonna redo it, but I would just drag these from here to here, and now all of my images will be organized. So now that I have these final images, only thing we're gonna do is make sure we're in this JPEG right here. We're gonna go to our Pixie set. We're gonna go to our collection here. Then we're gonna click and we're gonna select all. We're gonna delete them. So we'll delete all of these. And now we'll just add the new photos. So add the new photos, drag them over in there, change the cover photo, and then after we change this cover photo, all we gotta do is resend the link to the client. Alright, so after we finish uploading those photos, we definitely want to change the cover photo to a photo that is not watermarked. So we would just do that. Here, we'll drag the image over. We'll drag this image for this example. So this image isn't going to have a watermark on it. It's going to be a full retouch, full resolution image. So we'll do that. Alright, so now that we got that did, we'll change the focal length. So on the desktop, it'll show, okay. So now you can see what it'll look like on the desktop and also what it's going to look like on a mobile device. And then the last thing is, now we will turn downloads on. So we'll click download status, turn that on. I typically don't do the pen, but if you want to, you can. So I typically disable the pen and I allow gallery download and high resolution downloads. So if you have an upgraded account, you can allow them to download the original file resolution, but if not, it's going to limit it to the 3600 pixels. And you can also do single photo download if you want to. And that's pretty much it. So they also have this store that you can set up that allow your client to purchase prints, and you can connect it to your PayPal, and your clients can directly buy prints from here, and then you will get paid for it. So you get to set the price at what you want your prints to be sold for. So it's going to tell you how much the vendor is going to charge you to make the prints, and you can sell it at whatever price you want. And then you just get the difference, and you don't have to worry about printing or shipping it. Whenever they go on here and put in their order, they have to put in their shipping address. So once the vendor finishes their prints, they send them directly to the client. So this is also a good, easy way that you can make additional money if you go through and set up the store. I don't have it set up, but you can definitely take the time to go through and get that set up. So I'm leaving the store off, and now you're just gonna resend this collection to the client. So as you can see, I only have 3 images in this because this is only for the sake of this video, but you will have all your images here after you rechange your cover photo. The link is still the same actually, but I just sent a new email just because. So you would go down here, you would click share. You can go share by email. You can get a direct link that you can just copy, and you can go into your email software and send a custom email that way, or you can send it directly from PixieSet. I just send directly from PixieSet. So you put their email here, then you would put your email body here. So you can make a template that you could just always send for your emails. And as you can see over here is what your sample email will look like. So all you have to do is click send invite, and then your clients will get the final images and they can download them from there. So there you have it. You have my complete photography workflow from start to finish. You know how I organize my files, how I send proofs, how I process them in Capture One, how I would process them in Lightroom, and how I retouch them in Photoshop. Be sure to leave me a review on my website with your thoughts of this course. Let me know what I could do better next time and things that you also liked about this course. I would really appreciate it. And until next time, man, I'm out.